Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you had a good week, and I'm wishing you a restful Shabbat. This week's Parsha is Chayei Sarah. So it's called Chayei Sarah, which means the life of Sarah, but it actually tells us about the death of Sarah. So what happens is we learn the story of Abraham almost sacrificing Yitzchak last week. God tells Abraham to sacrifice his son that he loves, that is Yitzchak. He doesn't say a word ever. There's no speaking of his in the text. He takes Yitzchak to the top of the mountain, almost sacrifices him, and then an angel stops him from doing so. And we always wonder, like, what is this? What is the message of this story? And what's most compelling to me is that it's not that Abraham was blindly doing whatever God told him to do. Abraham knew that God had promised that Yitzchak would be the father of a great nation, that there would be many, many, many descendants of Yitzchak, all these promises that God had made. And so far, God hadn't let up on any of the things that he had promised to Abraham. And so Abraham had faith, yes, but not the kind of blind faith that would cause you to do something horribly, horribly horrible. Abraham did what he just believed that God would not let something so horrible happen, and so he almost sacrifices Yitzchak, but then is stopped from doing so. And then right after this event, we learn that Sarah has passed away, and so the commentators surmise that perhaps maybe Sarah heard about what happened and thought that Yitzchak actually had died. Perhaps it was so scarring to her, so traumatic to her that her life couldn't go on anymore. The idea of this almost happening, her husband almost doing such a horrible thing. Either way, we're not told exactly, but the fact that it happens right after this event is suspicious. So Abraham is assumedly devastated. He loved Sarah. They've had a child finally after many, many, many years together. And what he does in this parsha says a lot about what the Jewish people do in the face of great grief and strife. What Abraham does is he does two things. He first purchases land, the first purchase of land in the land of Israel, the cave of Machpelah, the cave where all of the matriarchs and patriarchs end up being buried. And then he goes to ensure that Yitzchak will find a wife. So these two things. He ensures that future burial places will be available, the cave of Machpelah, and then ensures that Yitzchak will have a family and progeny. He finally, does the thing that will help Yitzchak's life to be proper and full, and as full as his own life was. And so I think about this when we were experiencing such grief in the Jewish community, just devastation, and things keep getting scarier and worse, and we're just so horrified. But we don't curl up into balls and hide away from the world. No, we are. The amount of community and the efforts from the communities in Israel and across the world have been so amazing. So, for example, there was 300,000 people were asked to come up and join the reserves to do Miluim in Israel. And they had a 150% acceptance rate of Miluim, meaning not only did every single person who they called up to join the reserves joined, but another ton also showed up. The soldiers who were being given food by community members are saying, please stop giving us food. We have too much food. You're giving us too much. People needed houses for those who were being told to evacuate from the south of Israel and from the north of Israel, in response to the fact that there may be rocket attacks in the south and the north. And immediately, when they were asking for places for these families to stay, immediately all those families, some 6,000 families, were immediately placed in a fellow Jew's home. And it's just like the Jewish people are doing everything right. The birth rate in Israel continues to go up when in the rest of the world it goes down. The Jewish people have ritual to gather around. Even if it's not religious Shabbat, everyone in Israel is joining around this ritual, doing some version of Shabbat. And it's so rare. The only thing in America that we have akin to this is Thanksgiving, and that's it. But for Jews, as we say, Thanksgiving every week. So wishing you a peaceful Shabbat, and God willing, I'll see you all next week.